They are left desolate. Joseph is taken now to Egypt. This beloved son of the father taken to a strange land. He goes down. Egypt is down. He goes down, taken as a slave to a foreign land, to a land of death and of paganism and unclean things and darkness. He goes to as a stranger in a strange land. So, picture, revelation of Messiah. Messiah descends down to the land of death, to the land of darkness. And then, not only after that, because he was not received by the nation as a whole, he ends up dwelling where? He ends up dwelling in the land of the Gentiles. Messiah, that's why Jewish people, they have a stumbling block here, because they look and they think Jesus is the God of the Gentiles. He's Joseph. And so he goes, God sends him to another land because the first land rejected him. And so now he goes to another land. He's in a pagan land. So Joseph goes down to Egypt, and he goes to the house of Potiphar. Potiphar means, in Egyptian, apparently it means devoted to the sun, like devoted to the sun god. It says he was an officer of Pharaoh. Genesis 39, verse 1. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he prospered. Now it says in verse 3, the Lord was with him, he prospered. Verse 4, Joseph found grace. He was made the overseer of the house. Verse 5, the Lord blessed him. Again and again it says that Joseph is being blessed. Even though he's rejected and despised, he's still being blessed. Throughout the entire story, there is no sin found in Joseph. Now, Joseph, of course, sins like everybody else, but he's such a righteous man. There's not one word of him sinning. Some people think it was a sin because he's telling the dream, but that was the dream from God. So it didn't matter where he was, didn't matter what his circumstances, he was always first with God. He was always holding true to God. And that's crucial. No matter what was going on, he's put in prison, all this stuff, he's rejected and despised and abused and victimized, but he is not letting that touch him with God. He still stays above his circumstances. A man of righteousness stays with God, and you got to be the same way. No matter what happens, it's you and God. You have to preserve. You be righteous. You do what's right. You hold that no matter what's going on. It doesn't matter. You'll overcome your circumstances. And you will prosper. Messiah, picture though of going down to death. Everything's in his charge. What happens? Potiphar's wife is what happens. She comes to Joseph and she tries to seduce him. Joseph is such a righteous man. He knows, listen, I mean, again, imagine it's you. You're in a foreign land. Your whole, everything you were raised on is gone. All your bearings seem to be gone. There's nothing there. You're in a pagan land, and you're a slave and a servant, and now you're being tempted, and yet he knows who he is in God. He knows that. We don't know if he was holding on to the dream, believing it was prophetic. We don't know, but he knows who he is, and you have to know who you are in God. And so the wife says, lie with me. Joseph says no. So much so, he flees. He runs away. He flees, which is a great thing to do when you're being tempted. Flee. Get out of there. Whatever to do, turn around, get out of the situation. Change the situation. And notice he runs away. She's holding his cloak. Now this is the second time he's lost his cloak. There's something about it. There's something about that. Because Joseph is originally stripped of his clothes, of his cloak of glory. But then he's stripped again, or he loses. Well, interesting, because Messiah, he's a symbol of Messiah. Messiah was also stripped of his glory. When he came down to earth, he was stripped. He removed itself. The glory, he took it off. But then when he was on earth, he was stripped of his clothes again, right? And also here's a picture of Joseph being tempted yet without sin. Messiah was also tempted and yet without sin. And so Joseph, innocent, Messiah, it says in Isaiah 53, the prophecy says, though he had done no sin, there was no iniquity, nothing found, no deceit in his mouth. Yet he suffered. So Joseph here. It says even the rabbis saw this. that they saw a link between Joseph and Messiah, and Isaiah 53 and Messiah. It says in Isaiah 53, he was despised and rejected of men. He was a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief, like one from whom men hide their face. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely our griefs he bore, and our sorrows he carried. Yet we saw him as struck by God. He was wounded for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment for our well-being fell upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. Now, we don't know that Joseph ever protested his innocence. We don't know that. We get the impression that he did not protest. Joseph, a picture of Messiah on trial. Messiah is accused, arrested, falsely accused, and yet he does not open his mouth. Until one point, it says in Isaiah, he was oppressed, he was afflicted, prophecy. He did not open his mouth, like a lamb led to the slaughter. A sheep before her shears is silent. He didn't open his mouth. Well, he doesn't open his mouth, except at a point when the high priest says, will you not say something? And that's when he says it. But now, Joseph is falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, and says that he tried to rape her. And so Potiphar believes his wife and throws him into prison. Now, see, Joseph is going down, 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 down. Now he is thrown into prison. It says in Isaiah 53, verse 8, by oppression and judgment he was taken away. That's saying he was arrested by oppression, by judgment. He was taken away. And as for his generation, who considered that he was cut off out of the land of the living for the transgression of my people, to whom the stroke was due, he had done no violence, and nor was there any deceit found in his mouth. But it was the Lord's will to crush him and put him to grief, if he would offer up his soul as an offering for guilt, a guilt offering. So now Joseph goes down to prison. He goes down to the depths of the depths. Imagine what it must have been like for him. I mean, it's enough. His family totally rejects him, totally abuses him, victimizes him, is thinking of killing him, sells him into slavery. Imagine if your family sold you into slavery. And he goes into a foreign land. He is a slave, he's a servant, but now he's falsely accused on top of it. People put their sins on him. Falsely accused. He now goes down. Now he's in prison in darkness. Still descending. If that was you, how would you be? How would you be with God? You might be saying, God, what are you doing? What's going on? He's in a prison in a foreign land. He just barely probably speaks the language. For the sins of others who falsely accused him, we might be saying, Lord, where are you? And yet it says in Isaiah 53, with a wicked in his death, he was numbered with the criminals. So now Joseph is with the criminals, because Messiah would be numbered on the cross with the criminals. And he goes down to the depth. Why? Why? That no matter what depth you go down and what depth you're in, he's with you. There's no depth that is deeper than his love and his blood given for you. All punishment for all sin comes upon him. No matter what pit you're in, he's there. No matter how dark it is, he's there. No matter how deep it is, he's there. He descended to the depth that we'll never even know. So no matter what depth you're in, he's there. You're not alone.
To find out how you can receive more of Jonathan's teachings, to receive special free gifts, or get in touch, go to hopeoftheworld.org or call toll-free 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's hopeoftheworld.org or call 1-800-YESHUA-1. That's 1-800-937-4821. You can also get more at Jonathan Cahn's Facebook page or write us direct at Hope of the World, Box 1111, Lodi, New Jersey 07644, USA.